I'm going to be ranking every first round pick in the NBA draft from 30 to 1. Taking into account the player individually, how I think he's going to fit on the team. Does he fit the team's current timeline? Do I think that they got an absolute steal with this pick? Do I think that they reached heavy on this selection? So all of that is going to be taken into consideration. I had a top 40 grade on every single player taken in the first round. Yeah, there were some players that I thought were reaches, but otherwise I did like mainly every selection here in the NBA draft. Also, before we get into the video, I do want to say thank you all for 100,000 subscribers on this channel. It really means a lot to hit it here. It's been something I've been trying to grow for a while now. I just want to say thank you if you are subscribed to the channel. So let's start off with number 30. It's going to be Kobe Brown, who was the 30th overall pick to the LA Clippers. This wasn't anything crazy. At number 30, Kobe Brown's a fine prospect. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Mfiondu Kabengele, who they took a few years ago out of Florida State. Remember that name? I just thought that there were some other options that they could have went here at 30 that I've stressed about, either Colby Jones or Maxwell Lewis, two guys that could help them win now. Or if this player wasn't even going to make it in the rotation, why not take a flyer on a Ryan Rupert or a Leonard Miller that can help develop over time, that when you're in your eventual rebuild in Los Angeles, you can have this guy that's going to be in their peak. Because I don't think Kobe Brown has a super high ceiling. I wonder how he's going to fit offensively into this team next year. I would have loved if maybe some other guys fell to them at 30. So I just don't think it was anything crazy that happened there with the last pick in the first round. It was most likely going to be the worst player selected in the first round, obviously. And yeah, I just wish there were some other options there. At number 29, we have Ben Shepherd. He was the 26th overall pick to the Indiana Pacers. I don't mind Ben Shepherd as a prospect, but I just don't like him to the Indiana Pacers. Reminds me a little bit of Chris Duarte from a few years ago. He's going to be pretty old coming into the NBA on day one. I wonder how he's going to gel into this Pacers team with Benedict Mathurin and Buddy Hield getting the load as the main wings. And Shepherd is supposed to be a good shooter out of Belmont. I just wonder what he's going to provide to the Pacers if he's maybe not the best shooter or right away, or he's going to take a little bit of time to develop. All right, next up here, we have Marcus Sasser, who went 25th overall to the Detroit Pistons. They made a trade with the Boston Celtics. I like Sasser as a prospect. He's going to come in, NBA ready, good passer, good shooter, good defender. I think it's a weird fit in Detroit because he's 100% going to be a backup behind Cade and Ivy. I guess this is going to hurt Killian Hayes' playing time next year for sure, because Sasser's probably better right away. Number 27, Noah Clowney, that went 21st. I like Noah Clowney as a prospect. I thought he was going to be a good switchable defender. I kind of wish he went to a team like a Portland Trailblazers or a team that could have used his defensive value there, that is trying to win now next year. I mean, Brooklyn might be respectable. I just would have went with maybe another higher ceiling player at this pick. Maybe you could have looked at like a Nick Smith Jr. You could have even looked at a Bryce Sensabaugh as well. If you even told me that they took Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine, who ended up going 40 to the Lakers here, I would have been like, okay, I'm fine with that. At number 26, we have Chris Murray, who went 23rd to the Portland Trailblazers. This is pretty much in the range where I thought he would go. I thought Portland would also go in a different direction. I really don't know what they're doing because they took Chris Murray at 23, who can help them right away, which I'm a fan of. But then they also took Ryan Rupert in the second round, which I thought was great, but I would even have thought about Rupert here at 23, or at least Leonard Miller, who was on the board. I know, I just want them to end up trading Damian Lillard, build around those assets they get for Dame and Sharp and Scoot and Simons. And yeah, like if they got Leonard Miller here, I would have loved that. And I think I would rather have just seen Chris Murray on a different team. At 25, we have Jett Howard, who went 11th overall to the Orlando Magic. I don't want to keep hating on Jett Howard because I don't mind him as a prospect. I had a first round grade on him. I just thought he was going to be picked in the 20s, not at number 11. I thought this was a reach for the Orlando Magic. And if they wanted a floor spacing, good shooting guard, why don't you look at Jordan Hawkins or Grady Dick, the next two picks basically after him? So I thought those would have been better options for the Orlando Magic next year, because Grady Dick is arguably the best shooter in this class, and Jordan Hawkins can help you right away and lead this team and is also a great contested shooter and a good defender. So I don't know, I would have went either Hawkins or Dick if I were Orlando, and that's why Jett Howard is coming in pretty low here. At 24, we have Bilal Coulibaly, who went number 7 to the Washington Wizards in a trade with the Indiana Pacers. And I've said this before, but if there was a team in the top 10 that I would have been fine with taking Bilal, it was the Wizards, because they are going to be rebuilding for a while. I just wouldn't have taken Bilal Coulibaly in the top 10. If I was Washington, I would have maybe traded down. I'm a fan of his game, but not as high as some other people are. He was my 22nd ranked prospect going into this draft. I would have liked a couple other options here. I know that the medicals weren't great on Cam Whitmore, but I wouldn't even have mind a Derek Lively here, or a Cason Wallace, or a Jalen Hood-Schifino, or a Kobe Buffkin. I just didn't love Bilal here. I'm very interested to see how he's going to develop in Washington. At 23, we have Julian Strother, who went 29 to the Denver Nuggets. This was very similar to who they took last year in the first round in Christian Brown, somebody that could help them right away. Would I have liked maybe an Andre Jackson here or a Kobe Jones? Yeah, but I think Strother can actually be a good plug-and-play guy for them, and he doesn't need to play 20 minutes in this rotation. It's still going to be a very good team, and I think he's NBA ready, coming out of Gonzaga, good prospect right away. The pick is definitely growing on me. At 22, we have Bryce Sensabaugh, who went 28 to the Utah Jazz. Sensabaugh was definitely one of those prospects that had such a wide range of draft possibilities that he can go. He could have went maybe number 14. He could have maybe went as low as he did here at 28. It's most likely due to his medical issues. Apparently he had pretty major leg injuries in high school, and that's why teams were hesitant to draft him, which is weird because he just had a good season at Ohio State. I don't know, I thought it was weird he fell that low, so I thought this was a great flyer for the Jazz at 28. At 22, we have Keontae George, who went 16th to the Utah Jazz as well. I've said it before, I'm not the biggest Keontae George fan, but I thought this was a range, or excuse me, a spot where he went that I was cool with. Number 16, I'm interested to see how he's going to perform in Utah, because he's not the greatest playmaker, and they don't really have a true playmaking point guard, or at least facilitator, high basketball IQ. One, is it going to be Colin Sexton next year? I'm not really sure. I'm really intrigued to see how Keontae George is going to do as a rookie in Utah. And if they bring back Jordan Clarkson, they have Ochai Agbaji, he's marketed in a 3, fighting minutes with Sensabaugh. I'm wondering, what Keontae George is going to do his rookie year. At 20th, we have Dariq Whitehead, who went 22nd to the Brooklyn Nets. I think Whitehead can be a very good spot-up shooter in the NBA. He's a good complementary piece to a Mikal Bridges, who's probably going to be running a lot of ISO basketball next year. Who knows? Maybe Damian Lillard's on this team, and Dariq Whitehead could be a nice spot-up shooter for Dame if he wasn't in the Dame trade. But yeah, I liked Whitehead at this spot. He did have some injury concerns coming into Duke, but it was one of their 2 first-round picks. Why not take a flyer on him? Number 19, we have Derek Lively, who went 12th to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas basically traded down here, which was nice. They got off the Bertans contract to get somebody they probably would have taken at 10 in Derek Lively, a good rim-protecting 5, who I think is going to take a little bit of time to develop. I think people are going to expect him to come right in, be the starting center on a playoff team with Luka and Kyrie, and I think it's going to take him a little bit to adapt to NBA bigs and defending there. I do wonder if he's going to be hesitant to shoot his 3-point shot, or is he going to have the confidence right out of the gate? I think that's something you got to really scout about him. At 18, we have Jalen Hood-Schifino, who went 17th to the LA Lakers. Maybe there was a prospect or two that I would have taken if I were LA here. I would have probably taken a chance on Cam Whitmore, but I do like Jalen Hood-Schifino as a prospect. This is pretty much where I had him ranked in my big board and where I predicted him to go in my mock draft. So I really didn't have any problems with this Lakers pick at 17. At 17th, we have Taylor Hendricks, who went 9 to the Jazz. I like Taylor Hendricks. Do I love him in Utah? Maybe not like the best fit in the world. I would have maybe preferred him in Dallas or Indiana, but he's a good prospect. He's going to come in and hopefully be a 3-and-D power forward, and you can run some really fun lineups with Markkanen, Hendricks, and Walker Kessler, and I like the pick. I'm pretty much going to like all these picks here in the top 20. I just like 17 picks more. At 16, we have Anthony Black, who went 6th overall to the Orlando Magic. I do not mind Anthony Black as a prospect. I've been watching a little bit more film of him over time, and I just don't think him and Nick Smith really gelled together at Arkansas. So I wonder how he's going to be as probably the backup point guard in Orlando, because Fultz is going to start. I'd assume Jalen Suggs is going to start, or maybe a more veteran shooting guard. And I think he's going to run that second unit, so I do expect Cole Anthony to get traded. If they don't trade Cole Anthony or Suggs, I am worried about Anthony Black's playing time. At 15th, we have Brandon Podziemski, who went 19 to the Golden State Warriors. He's going to be a great plug-and-play guy, like I mentioned before, with Strother to the Nuggets. Can rebound, can shoot, can pass, high basketball IQ. I do worry a little bit now that I'm kind of watching more film, because it doesn't stop after the draft, about him. He went to Illinois and then went to a lower tier conference at Santa Clara, and a lot of those guys do not pan out at the NBA level. So I do wonder if just the lesser competition at Santa Clara really helped him elevate his draft stock, which it probably did. I do wonder how it's going to translate to Golden State under a pretty big stage. At 14, we have Jaime Jaquez, who went 18th to the Miami Heat. I didn't love Jaime Jaquez as a prospect, but I think this year, next year, and maybe the first 3 years of his career, he's going to be a great addition to this Miami Heat team. He has probably one of the highest basketball IQs in this draft. He's a good shooter. He's going to help Miami win next year, and that's what they needed. So maybe I wouldn't have taken Jaquez here because I don't love his ceiling. I don't love his long-term play at the NBA level, but I think right away, this was a good pick for the Miami Heat. At 13, we have Grady Dick, who went 12th overall to the Toronto Raptors. I think I was hating a little bit too much on this Grady Dick pick, because for what Toronto was doing, I would have maybe preferred Jordan Hawkins or Kobe Buffkin, and I really don't know what Toronto is doing because they're kind of in purgatory at the moment. But you know what? Grady Dick's a really good shooter, and if they run Scotty Barnes at the 1 next year, I could be really intrigued about a Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick backcourt, because Grady Dick, I've said it, underrated defender, one of the best shooters in this class. So yeah, I think this is a good pick by Toronto. I was definitely hating on it a little bit on Twitter. At 12th overall, we have Cason Wallace, who went 10 to the OKC Thunder. OKC did have to take on Bertans' contract, but that's fine. They probably weren't going to sign anybody in free agency, and they didn't have to give up any future first-round picks to move up to get Cason Wallace, who was the best perimeter defender in this draft, or at least at the point guard position, in my opinion. He's going to be a great backup guard, and you can run some really fun lineups in OKC defensively with Shea, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and Chet. That's super fun. At 11, we have Nick Smith Jr., who went 27th overall to the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, I would have taken him at 15, where he was on my big board spot. And like I said before with Anthony Black, I don't think Nick Smith Jr. and Anthony Black really worked well when they were on the floor together. So I do wonder, now that he's playing with LaMelo Ball, who's a good shooter, how Nick Smith is going to operate. I'm excited to see him in Charlotte. I hope he has a large role. And maybe I hope they trade Terry Rozier to see Nick Smith Jr. play even more minutes. At 10, we have Kobe Buffkin, who went 15 to the Atlanta Hawks. You guys know, I love Kobe Buffkin, my 7th ranked prospect in this draft. This would have been higher if he went to a different team, because I think Atlanta got a steal with Buffkin at 15. I just worry about Buffkin's opportunity on the offensive end, playing behind Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, and is he going to be able to lead that second unit that has a decent amount of shot creators on it, or shoot first guys like a Bogdan Bogdanovic or a Sadiq Bey? So yeah, I'm wondering on how Buffkin's opportunity is going to be in his rookie season, but hey, maybe DeJounte Murray leaves in a year and we could see Buffkin shine in Atlanta. At 9, we have Jordan Hawkins, who went 14 to the New Orleans Pelicans. This was basically mocked by everybody. This was a perfect fit for somebody that could be a 3-and-D complementary piece to Zion and Ingram and CJ McCollum right away. Can help the Pelicans make the playoffs next year. I loved it. At 8, we have Olivier Maxence Prosper, who went 24 to the Dallas Mavericks in a trade with Sacramento. And that the Kings basically did something similar to the Mavericks, and they just gave Dallas the Rashawn Holmes contract and said, we don't want any other picks, just take the Holmes contract and we'll give you our first, which I don't know if I love for Sacramento because they needed some defensive help, and OMP would have been a great addition. And that's why I didn't maybe love the Chris Murray pick by Portland, because OMP would have also been a great addition. And I think I like Maxence Prosper as a defender a little bit more than Noah Clowney, so this goes back to the Brooklyn pick from before. But yeah, adding Derek Lively and Olivier Maxence Prosper in this draft for Dallas was just a job well done. At number 7, we have Jarris Walker, who went 8th to the Indiana Pacers. They were able to trade down, get somebody that we thought could have went 5th overall in this draft to the Pistons, get a nice piece next to Miles Turner, a nice complimentary piece to Tyrese Halliburton, good pick and roll partner. I like this a lot for Indiana, and you got a couple assets to get him as well to move down. Yeah, this is a job well done by Indy. At 7, we have Brandon Miller, who went 2nd to the Hornets. Brandon Miller was my 3rd ranked prospect in this draft. I loved him. The only reason this is at 7 and maybe not at 2 or 3 is because they passed on Scoot Henderson to take Brandon Miller. And when you're as bad as the Hornets have been, you take best player available. But I think Miller is going to be fine in Charlotte. At 5, we have Amen Thompson, who went 4th overall to the Houston Rockets. At number 6, we have Amen Thompson, who went 4th overall to the Houston Rockets. This was a great pick. This is who they should have taken in this scenario. I like Ausar Thompson a little bit more, and that's why Ausar is going to come in at number 5 to the Pistons. But both teams had different needs, so you guys can change these however you want. At number 3, we have Cam Whitmore, who went number 20th to the Houston Rockets. I still can't believe it. Even if he doesn't work out, this is one of the best picks in the draft. Somebody that the Rockets could have taken at 4 and nobody would have batted an eye. If the Pistons took him at 5, Orlando even at 6, Indy at 7, Washington at 8, Utah at 9, nobody would have batted an eye, and he fell all the way to 20 due to maybe his love for the game, his just personality, his medicals. But either way, he is so goddamn athletic. He is such a high ceiling. This was one of the best picks in the draft, and I still can't believe he fell this far. At number 2, we have Scoot Henderson, who went 3rd overall to the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, this is the second best pick in my opinion. You got the second best player at number 3. I mean, I don't know what the hell Portland is doing. They should trade Damian Lillard. I've said that in the beginning of the video, but either way, Scoot, fantastic selection at 3. This is what you do. And at number 1, no surprise, Victor Wembanyama, number 1 overall to the San Antonio Spurs. The thing they should have did, the most obvious pick of all time. But yeah, you got the best player in the draft, so you probably had my favorite draft. So let me know what you guys think of this ranking down below. Drop a like if you did enjoy the video. I will have my way too early 2024 mock draft out soon. Also got to drop my free agency predictions as well, so the content is not slowing down. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.